Want to bring some great fragrance into your spring garden? Look no further than the lilac. On this episode of Garden Time, we travel to the Hulda Klager Lilac Gardens in Woodland, Washington, to learn about this wonderful plant, how to grow them, and to hear about the Hulda Klager Lilac Days. Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru in Salem, Oregon.
Here at Capital Subaru, we are family. From you, our customers, our coworkers, and even our actual family members work here. This is my son, Casey. We're generations ahead of the competition, and we're always working to keep you and your family moving.
We're here for you. We make it easy to join our Capital Subaru family.
All the support you need, from sales and financing to service and parts. We'll be here for you for generations to come.
And generations after that.
I'm Blake.
And I'm Casey. We make it easy to join our Capital Subaru family.
Where it's
your way on the Parkway.
Welcome to the Garden Time Podcast. We're based in the Pacific Northwest of the United States in a Zone 8 region. This zone deals with plants that can survive in 10 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer. I'm producer Jeff Gustin with your hosts Judy Alaruzzo and Ryan Seeley. Welcome to Garden Time. Today we're in Woodland, Washington, and we're at the Hulda Klager Lilac Gardens. And springtime is lilac time, except for this year. It's a little wet. We're talking with Ruth, and we're going to talk about some care tips. And with all this rain and cold, I know that lilacs, they don't like wet roots. But I'm going to start the first question. Should people be concerned right now?
No, I don't think so. People sometimes think that it's going to freeze, you know, the buds will freeze and so on. But that's not something that we worry about around here anyway. Maybe in the really cold places, but they're used to cold and they like it.
I was just wondering, I see so many lilacs around here, and it's like I think we all think there's one purple one, but there's really more kind of lilacs than that.
Yeah. The purple ones are the ones that everybody wants usually, but there's the white ones and pink ones and single ones and double ones, and there's just a lot more to it than a lot of people realize. They come down here at the right time, they'll see them all.
That's true, that is true.
But I was looking around, it's like, we're just early right at the beginning of the blooming. And there's some that are just starting to bloom now. And then there's some bushes that still look like they're sticks and they're not even close to blooming.
Yeah, that's right.
Are there different bloom seasons for this?
Oh, yes. There's one right over there that's a California, I've forgotten what the name, California Rose is what it's called. And that's one of them that they've developed that really comes early. And it doesn't take as much winter as they used to think that they had to have winter, but they don't. They've developed ones that don't, so yeah.
Does it need that winter chill?
Well, I always
get
think,
them to bloom,
I think if we have a nice winter, then I always think that the colors show up better in the spring, but what do I know?
But you've been gardening with lilacs a long time, longer than I think any of us right here. But really, they're very hardy for our area, for Southwest Washington, Northwest Oregon. So this area really is just the prime area to plant them.
Yeah, at least when Hulda was doing it, the soil was perfect too. Now we have an awful lot of people that come through, and some of the soil gets compacted, but you just dig down a little bit and it's just sand. And there was lots, back before the dams and everything, there was lots of floods then, and so they've built up some really nice soil for this, and they drained well.
Is that kind of what lilacs need? Is that
they've got to have good drainage. Yeah, that's the quickest way to kill a lilac, is to let their little feet get wet and stay that way.
Right, which is easy to do here in the Northwest, and especially in winters like this where it's been so wet for so long.
Yeah.
Are there things that people that have them or are struggling with that they can do to their soil to kind of
they can always go out and see if there's a way to drain their soil, to get some of the wet out of it.
Right.
Because they really don't do well when they just sit with their feet wet.
So maybe if they're planting new ones, make sure that they have the good drainage, or plant it up a little bit higher.
Yeah. At my house, my lilacs are on a slope, and that really helps them, I think. But down here, the soil is such that it drains pretty well.
And then what about sun or shade? What kind of light do they require?
They like full sun, and if they don't have full sun, you won't get as many blooms. They will be healthy and put out all kinds of leaves, but they won't give you many flowers unless they have sun.
And that's why you want them. So really, a good sunny spot.
Yep.
You know, and people really like to, you know, when they are blooming, you know, cut them, right? They do make a great cut flower.
Yeah, they do.
Any tips on that, on bringing them indoors?
Well, if you can, yeah, you can. I think that they pound the stems to open them up, like I think you do with a lot of
Right,
flowers.
because it's woody. It's a woody stem.
Yes,
so
right,
that
and
helps.
it'll draw the water better. But lilacs really aren't known as a great indoor. You know, they're people enjoy them outdoors because they can be
Right.
pretty strong. And so
So are all the varieties, you know, fragrant, or are some more fragrant than others?
you know, I have allergies and I don't stick my nose in them, but they do have some that are. In fact, I have a book in there that has them all listed by how strong they are,
Oh,
you
okay.
know. And people come up and they say, "What's the best smelling lilac?" You know, and I smile and say, "I don't know."
You have to come and smell them all.
Yeah.
But I noticed too that there's when you have a lilac, it's not like a century plant. I mean, I noticed that you guys are replanting stuff all the time. And is there a certain lifespan to lilacs?
You know, I think it just depends on the soil and the situation, because they had a lilac convention in up at Mackinac Island, and they have lilacs that are 200 years old. But that whole island is limestone, and that keeps it really alkaline, and that's what they like.
You know, we see, you know, as we're looking around the gardens here, you know, there's a lot of really established, you know, larger plants. How big does a lilac get? I mean, you talk about a 200-year-old lilac. Does
Yeah.
it just keep infinitely getting larger, or do
Well,
they
they get pretty big. You know, the wind around here and so on will keep them down somewhat, and we don't really end up pruning too much.
Okay.
We like people to see as much of the lilacs as they can.
you know, because most of these are kind of like a 15 to 20 foot, you know, large shrub, you know, maybe 10 foot wide.
Yeah.
Are there some varieties that get bigger than others?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, and the old-fashioned ones are the ones that get really big, it seems like, and lots of Huldas got really big. They're gone now, but they also put out shoots, and so you can keep the variety going if you pay attention.
And is there a better time to prune? Say, like at my house, I have to kind of keep it down because it gets too big, and so when is the optimum time?
When they finish blooming.
Okay.
If you prune right when they finish blooming, then you won't be pruning next year's blooms off of it, and that, you know, kind of keep your eye out. And now the Lilac Society, or the International Lilac Society, they say when you prune, if you get an old one, you know, prune it clear to the ground. Don't leave anything, because anything you leave out is going to get diseased probably.
Oh, that makes sense.
And you see some, you know, newer varieties that are coming out now, you know, some that are a little bit more of a compacted bush. But, you know, I've seen some like more of a reblooming, like a bloomerang
Yeah.
kind
That's
of
a great
thing,
one, yeah.
right? That it's,
Yeah.
And
Great
those-
lead-in. Yeah, we have bloomerang now, and there's others too. That there seems to be the Asian ones that are the Asian influenced ones that rebloom, and of course in the nursery industry they always want to make the plants not just bloom once but bloom lots of times, and so I think that's what the push is to make them so that everybody likes them.
Right. Kind of breed different habits into
Yeah,
it, right? More of
right.
a compact, because some people don't have, maybe not necessarily have a yard that can handle,
That's right.
you know, a big 20-foot
Yeah,
shrub where you can get.
and we get more complaints than anything when people will come and they'll say, "Well, I used to really enjoy my lilac, but now it's way too high for me to smell." You
Yeah.
know, and if you cut bouquets off, that also is a good way to prune them down.
True, that is true. And then you were saying something about alkaline soil. So our soil's a little bit more to the acidic. So we should lime them once in a while or every year?
I think probably every 2 years, but it kind of depends on your soil, you know. But it does really help with the bloom.
Okay.
So what about, I know a lot of gardeners are having smaller gardens. Are there lilacs that are better for potted gardens or for containers?
Some of those that, again, I think some of the Asian lilacs do better on pots, on patios and things. Mostly the old-fashioned ones will be climbing out of those pots. They don't like it. And they put out lots of shoots and so on. And so, but there are some that stay small.
What about, like, you know, just care as far as like fertilizing? You know, what should we do? Do you need to do much fertilizing to promote blooming or growing? Or is
the first few years that you have them, yeah, you kind of keep an eye on how they're doing. But once they get mature, you don't have to do much. In fact, they don't mind. They don't want to be watered or anything. You just let them be.
Well, didn't you say ignored?
Yes, ignored. Yeah.
Are there any, you know, pest or disease problems that you need to look at? You know, especially
we are
on
lucky
wet
here.
winters like this, where we see a lot of other shrubs can have some issues, but it doesn't seem like the.
No, around here we're really lucky. There's not so many bugs or diseases that get into lilacs. I think there are other parts of the country that have trouble that we just don't let them get here.
We're lucky that way.
Yeah, and with so many different varieties and different colors, you know, I always think of lilacs as that real early spring. It's just kind of that start to the season that when they're coming on. And
some of them definitely, are right there at the start. Also, you know, the 2 weeks is when the early ones are. And then 2 weeks later, there's the mid-season ones, and then the late ones are, you know, like almost a full month. They start blooming at the end.
So you could really stagger your blooms in your garden by planting some different varieties and colors to have a much longer bloom season.
Yeah.
That really is nice.
Well, Ruth, thank you so much. You know, you mentioned the staggering, but with this cold weather that we've been having this year and wet springs, gardeners can expect a lot of times the blooms to adjust because they are weather dependent.
Yes.
So they have a Lilac Days festival that's up here, the Hulda Klager Lilac Days. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Mary about what you can expect besides beautiful blooms and wonderful fragrance if you come up to Woodland, Washington. We'll be right back.
Here at Capital Subaru, we are family. From you, our customers, our coworkers, and even our actual family members work here. This is my son, Casey. We're generations ahead of the competition, and we're always working to keep you and your family moving.
We're here for you. We make it easy to join our Capital Subaru family.
All the support you need, from sales and financing to service and parts. We'll be here for you for generations to come.
And generations after that.
I'm Blake.
And I'm Casey. We make it easy to join our Capital Subaru family.
Where it's
your way on the Parkway.
Hi, I'm Sarah with Portland Nursery, where our passion for plants has kept us rooted in this incredible community. A lot has changed since we first opened our doors, but through it all, we've remained family-owned and operated, dedicated to providing our neighbors the largest selection of the highest quality plants Portland has to offer. With hundreds of new plants arriving each week, you're guaranteed to find something exciting and unique. Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, at 50th and Stark, 90th and Division.
DRAM is celebrating 75 years of design and manufacturing of quality watering tools. DRAM products feature 9 water patterns and are designed to nurture your plants with a shower of rain. DRAM for lawn and garden, available at garden centers near you.
And welcome back to Garden Time on a cold spring day. We are in Woodland, Washington at the Hulda Klager Lilac Gardens. And now we're going to talk with Mary. And Mary's going to fill us in on Hulda Klager Lilac Days, which is a festival here at the gardens. And hopefully it hits when all the lilacs are in bloom. And it usually runs from roughly the middle of April until Mother's Day. Is that still kind of the rough dates?
Yes.
Excellent.
Our opening day is Saturday, April 22nd, this weekend.
2023.
Yes.
And so talk a little bit about Hulda Klager and who the gardens are named for. This was her property, correct?
Correct. So Hulda immigrated here with her parents when she was 2 years old, and she came with her family, and she was raised in the Woodland area. And when she was 16 years old, she married her husband Frank. And then after that, her and her husband bought the property from her parents, and then she raised her family in the house and on the property.
And her father was really the first one that started with the lilac breeding and propagating?
I understand he was more of a farmer, but her husband encouraged, Hulda's husband encouraged Hulda to get into something, and she started with apples actually. And then she moved into the lilacs, and she wanted to develop a variety she wanted a white lilac. And so she actually was able to bring in some lilacs from France, and she started doing all of her, I don't know, hybridizing, I guess is what you call it. And she started just testing and doing that. And she came up after a number of years with 14 different varieties. Wow. Yeah, and then she wanted to open up the gardens to her family and friends, so she started doing tours of the gardens. And so that's kind of how she got the name of Lilac Lady.
Oh,
yeah.
That's fun. Pretty remarkable for her time frame for a woman breeder, hybridizer like that.
Oh,
it's amazing.
Yeah, when she was ill for a while, a friend gave her a book, and Luther Burbank was the gentleman's name, and she did a lot of reading on him and trying to learn different things. And she did, she started with different flowers in her garden, and she was doing the pollination with paintbrushes and all that. Wow. But real fun. Real fun to read about her history and her story.
Oh, wow.
So, now the gardens are open, and there's a lot more than just lilacs in the garden. There's magnolias blooming and camellias and various other shrubs. But about how many different varieties does the garden encompass now?
I don't know the exact number, but I'm going to say there's at least 30 to 40 varieties. For Lilac Days, we're bringing in over 4,000 plants.
Oh, wow.
And we have ordered those, and of those varieties, we have probably at least 30 to 40 new or different varieties that we're bringing in. And I know almost all of those we are growing in the garden too.
What a nice souvenir of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun to bring one home.
Right.
For many people, they've been coming here for years. I mean, the garden's been around for a long time, but for somebody that's new, that's just coming or just hearing about this, what can they expect when they show up to the gardens?
So they're going to come into the gardens, and we have different things for them to see. One of the favorite things that people always like is going to Hulda's house. That's going to be open this year in the afternoons from 1 to 4. We also have a new exhibit that we are opening. It's the Barn Museum, and we have a lot of the family memorabilia and things, as well as a lot of photographs, history, and we'll have different volunteers in there giving information in the house and also the museum.
And that's relatively new. That's just been converted,
yes,
right?
Yeah. We're excited to get the museum up and running this year and have people come visit that, and it is handicap accessible, so that's another good addition to the gardens.
Which all of the gardens, as you walk around, are that way with nice cobblestone, pathways to be able to get around all of the gardens to see.
Yes, I think that's one of the things that people like is the accessibility, the free parking, the low gate admission, and just coming in, and you might want to just come in and sit for a while. You might want to have a picnic. We're good with all of that.
Right, because you encourage people to come out. Spend the afternoon where they can, tour the gardens and be able to, see up close and personal and smell the lilacs, and then ones that they might have to have that one, they can kind of move over to the plant sale area and pick one up.
We have a little handout that we give, and it has a lot of different varieties on it. And I was talking earlier, and I said, well, this little list is where you can put down your shopping list, and maybe you can't afford everything the first year, but
Right,
but you can save your list and you'll know what you want to get the next year maybe.
Right, and just kind of keep adding to your collection.
Right, yes.
It's really a family day, and I think that that's what's so nice about it too, and that's that tradition. People come back every year, like you were saying, and really children are welcome, and it's just really a nice day to be outdoors.
Yeah, we see all age groups, and we do welcome families and children, and it's like the kids can run around, the parents can do a little shopping, you can have a little picnic,
Right.
and so yeah, that's a great family
And
place
having,
to visit.
post-COVID now where everything is open, where in the last few years there's
Yeah.
been some restrictions and limitations. So for those that want to come out and visit, do they need to book reservations online, or can they just show up, or what's the best way to come out?
We aren't taking reservations, so it's just first come, first serve through the gates, and
great.
we aren't limiting how many people we're taking in. You just come to the gate booth and you enter and spend the day.
Excellent. And you said it's a very, very minimal
Yes.
admittance fee.
Yeah, so $5 for adults, and children 12 and under are free.
Oh, that's great. And we just had some samples, and I keep on getting these fragrance from this beautiful one, and this one's called Maiden's Blush, and it's just gorgeous. And we think it's been so cold and nothing is really happening, but this is lovely, and it's one of the plants that you could take home, which is great.
Correct, yeah. And we're starting to see our buds turning to bloom, so we're seeing a little bursting in the bloom. So I've been going to our website and trying to update that and keep people in the know at least once a week, but maybe more often than that.
So check the website.
So visit our lilacgardens.com
Right.
and get all the good information.
And you have certain hours that you're talking about
Yes.
for the show, because the gardens are it's a volunteer organization. It's a non-profit. So
Yes.
so it's so staffing can sometimes be an issue, but it's all volunteer. So tell us a little bit about
So our volunteers are mostly members. We have a really small membership fee, and we run all of our Lilac Days with volunteers. They've been so generous to volunteer their time and come in and volunteer time in the house for the plant sales and also in the barn museum. We have some other organizations such as the Boy Scouts and maybe the 4-H Club that are going to come in and help us do some of the kind of the little work and helping people move plants to their cars.
That's great. Yeah, that's a nice service.
Yes.
Right. So that's the festival like this is really important to the gardens, because that's what supports you for the rest of the year.
So our plant sales and our membership fees and donations is what keeps the gardens going and pay all our expenses for the year.
Nice. And could you mention too about the fundraiser with the quilts?
Oh yes, so we have our quilt raffle that we're going to be selling tickets for, and those are going to be available in the house and in the barn museum, and we'll be drawing this at our membership picnic in July. And so this is made by a group in Ridgefield, and so we're really happy. It's a beautiful quilt, and hope people buy lots of tickets, and that also helps support the garden as well.
Excellent.
And you were mentioning becoming a member.
Yes.
You don't have to have a huge garden. You just have to have an interest in lilacs, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
You can grow them in pots, you can grow them in flower beds, or if you have acreage, you can put many of your lilacs in.
Definitely.
Yes.
Makes a great gift. So,
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much, Mary,
Yes.
and everybody here. It is a little chilly today, but as you notice, we are now under cover. We had a little sprinkle that went through, and there are a lot of covered areas here. So if you do come out to the garden and a little shower passes, you can find a little shelter and wait for that shower to pass. Watch the trains go by on their way to Seattle. We had to stop a couple of times with the trains going by, but it overall is a beautiful day to spend with your family. So come on up to Woodland, visit them, and even after the lilac seasons, after they're done blooming, you can still come out and visit, correct?
Yes, we're going to have the garden open when we have staff available, and that'll be mostly every day, but there might be a few hours where we're closed, but you'll be able to tell that if the gate's locked or unlocked.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, and thank you for watching and listening. We appreciate it that if you go to gardentime.tv, we'll have more information there about the festival or about the Lilac Days. I keep on calling it a festival. And
That's okay. It's a festival.
It's a party.
Thanks again, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of the spring, and happy gardening.
For 75 years, Al's Garden and Home has been a favorite destination of local gardeners. Starting in a small roadside fruit stand off of 99E in Woodburn by Al Biggie, Al's has grown to 4 retail locations in the Portland metro area that also includes a huge growing operation near Hubbard. To ensure that you get the highest quality, Al's grows over 80% of the plants they sell. This 4th generation family-owned business is now one of the most recognized garden centers in the country. Stop by one of our 4 locations to learn why Al's is the first stop for Northwest gardeners.
DRAM is celebrating 75 years of design and manufacturing of quality watering tools. DRAM products feature 9 water patterns and are designed to nurture your plants with a shower of rain. DRAM for lawn and garden, available at garden centers near you.
Here at Capital Subaru, we are family. From you, our customers, our coworkers, and even our actual family members work here. This is my son, Casey. We're generations ahead of the competition, and we're always working to keep you and your family moving.
We're here for you. We make it easy to join our Capital Subaru family.
All the support you need, from sales and financing to service and parts. We'll be here for you for generations to come.
And generations after that.
I'm Blake.
And I'm Casey. We make it easy to join our Capital Subaru family.
Where it's
your way on the Parkway.